spacecraft for a safe and successful but uncrewed return. Well, joining me now live is Leroy Chiao, a former NASA astronaut and engineer. Leroy, you've actually spent time, I believe, on the International Space Station. First of all, can you just put us inside the heads of these two astronauts who went into space expecting to be there for 8 days, and now it looks like they will be there instead for 8 months?
Sure. Well, of course, nobody likes surprises, especially big surprises like this. But having said that, astronauts like being in space. And although Butch and Sunny were looking at an 8 to 10 day mission, which had now blossomed into over 2 months, and now it's looking like it's going to be 8 months, or it will be 8 months. Having said that, they're also professionals. They're very much consummate professionals. They've both flown long durations aboard the ISS before, so they know how to operate the vehicle. They know how to do most of the experiments, and they've already been pitching in. So essentially, they're getting another long duration flight. The only thing is, like you said, they weren't expecting it, so I'm sure it impacted some other parts of their lives, but they're seem to be adjusting very well, and I think they're going to do great.
Yeah, you wonder if anybody left a carton of milk in the refrigerator or something like that. Look, just going back to the spacecraft itself, and we heard the statement from Boeing, NASA's been speaking about this as well. What do you make of the decision here to essentially keep the astronauts there until a different spacecraft can come get them? Is this being overly cautious, or do you think this is the right decision?
I think this is absolutely the right decision, and nobody in the business is surprised by this decision. Starliner has been behind schedules, but had a lot of technical and budget problems. Finally got into space and then suffered these failures on the thrusters. They seem fairly minor. Testing was they were unable to come up with or agree on a root cause. They saw some disturbing problems related to overheating. Apparently, parts of the spacecraft around the propulsion system are getting hotter than they had expected, and so it's causing some potential problems with the seals. And so this was the right decision. I mean, I think in an emergency, you would do the risk reward and, of course, try to bring them down on Starliner. Although now the decision has been made that they're going to wait. They're going to prepare the Dragon that is up there, the SpaceX vehicle, to be able to come back with 6 instead of 4 in this period of time between when the Starliner is undocked in September to come down without people on board, and then the Crew 9 vehicle comes up, which will also be the vehicle that brings Butch and Sunny down in February.
I have a question about the Starliner, actually. So you mentioned it's going to be going back to Earth unmanned. First of all, how is that possible? And then secondly, I know that everyone was really excited because the Starliner was going to be making a different sort of landing than what you usually see. Is that still going to happen? Will they get the chance to try that out?
Yes, actually, Starliner, I believe, is going to land in Utah. I believe it's still in Utah at the landing zone there on the ground, and so I believe that will still happen. Yeah, they took them literally, a while. I mean, 2 months to come up with a software patch, upload it, and test it on the vehicle because previously it did not have the capability to come down autonomously, but now they believe they can bring it down. So the plan is to undock the Starliner sometime in September and go ahead and bring it back, probably for that landing.
This was Boeing's really first attempt at a crewed mission. It hasn't exactly gone according to plan. Where do you think this leaves Boeing now and its attempts to really catch up to SpaceX and get its own space program going?
Sure. No, this is no question a big black eye for Boeing. Like I said before, they're behind schedule, over budget. Boeing to date has spent about $1.6 billion of its own money to kind of keep the Starliner and get it going and get it to where it is now. Now they were going to have to try to fix the problem. It is undoubtedly going to involve some redesign. They're going to have to shoulder the bulk of that cost. NASA may contribute a little bit to it, but by and large, they're on the hook with their contract to develop a working vehicle. And, NASA wants Starliner to be successful because NASA wants more than just one source or one provider to bring astronauts to and from ISS. So SpaceX has been very successful, almost 4 years now, I believe, or right around 4 years in doing that. NASA's eager to bring Starliner online as well.
Yeah, and that must sting a bit as well to have its rival Elon Musk's SpaceX be part of that. I don't know if you want to call it a rescue mission, but to be bringing those astronauts home. Leroy Chiao, former NASA astronaut and engineer. Thank you for your time.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Well, some breaking